Dan, when evaluating new technologies, how important first is the science backing of it, and how much does that play into the role of looking at new technologies compared to feel-good modalities or things like that? How effective or is that in your decision making?
As we know, a newer technology is going to have less research behind it, but again, is the concept behind it something that is scientifically based? That's a solid concept. Are there limited contraindications? Are there other things within the medical space that you can compare it to? And so, I think if you have those things in a newer technology, at least from my standpoint, I'm comfortable with exploring it to see if it's something that's effective or something that's going to be compatible with our program.
And when you were evaluating Firefly initially, what part of the research made you confident in it? Was it the fact that it moves blood, or was it the research weight on DOMs, or what was kind of your decision making from a
It was the
research standpoint?
fundamental concept and the fundamental research around blood flow. Because again, there's so many there's so many physiological processes that are affected and impacted by
Right.
blood. That simple concept of
Yeah.
how do you move blood, how do you circulate blood from the tissues and back to the tissues. And so for me, that was the most compelling piece. If we can improve that, if we can enhance that, I think again that's what we're trying to do in most of our recovery efforts anyway. Whether that's cold tub,
Right.
contrast, pneumatic compression, massage, all of those things we're trying to impact blood flow. And if we can do that with this product, with any product, I think it's something worth exploring. I think everybody's trying to figure out how you get the benefits of active recovery without the additional mechanical loading, right? And even in injury recovery, you're trying to figure out how do we introduce stress and load without increasing mechanical load on the tissues and
It's
the
a healthy
joints. And
balance.
it's a healthy balance.
Yeah.
And so with Firefly, not only do we get a more effective and efficient return of oxygenated blood to the tissues, we also get that same process without having to load the tissues as well. So when we have a sedentary athlete on, again, we talk about travel a ton, but even if they're in their room, right?
Right.
And they're sedentary, they're getting the benefit of a natural biological process without having to walk around and load their joints and potentially add to the mechanical stress that they're already taking on.
So Dan, we wanted to speak a little bit on the scalability of Firefly, both on campus as a tool and then for travel as a tool. Can you speak a little bit on that?
Whenever you travel, you're trying to take elements of your athletic training room on the road, right? So you want to take something to treat injuries, treat inflammation. You got to take medication. You got to take all those things
All
on
the
the
stuff.
road, but you can't actually ship your athletic training room to where you are. So you got to find some things that are scalable, right? You want to find things that you can provide elements of in a hotel room, in a huge visitor athletic training room, in a athletic training room that used to be a closet. You want to try to find something that can fit both. And Firefly, again, because it's minimalist in terms of like just even the product itself, right? It's really easy to do that. When I was traveling with one of our teams, I know I called you and I
Yep.
said, hey, can we get product on the road? And it wasn't a huge burden to get it there, but it also wasn't a huge burden to travel around after we were headed home. There was a pocket within the
There's a
athletic
duffel
training. It
bag
was a
and
duffel bag, and it fit
yeah.
nicely in that. And so, again, it's easy and not cumbersome, and it fits a multitude of situations and circumstances. So you can have elements of the athletic training room wherever you go, whether that's on the bus, on the plane, in the hotel, or in the athletic training room.
So Dan, when implementing Firefly as a recovery product, and this is a more of a daily athletic recovery product, what do you use? How do you implement it? What are the strategies behind that?
Again, you got to figure out the student athlete schedule, right? Not just when they're on the road, but when they're, doing their day to day and practicing and games and all the rest. You want to do something pre-game, but you also want to do something after workouts or after workouts and practice to try to capture as much recovery as you can. And with the Firefly units, you can have them do that for 1-2 hours, but again, they don't have to be in the athletic training room for 1 or 2 hours. They can, and they're usually shocked when I tell them, hey, you can use this product, and then I want you to walk,
Yeah,
right? And
right.
they're like, there's no way that I can walk the way that this is working and it's moving my foot. And then when they put their foot down and then they go do something, they are amazed at the fact
They
that
run
can
out of
do
the
it. They
athletic
can
training
run
room.
out of the athletic training room and go do whatever else they need to do.
Yeah. So Dan, I want to ask a little bit about the value proposition of Firefly and how, when you're looking at budgeting and when you're looking at implementing, what kind of moves the needle with Firefly compared to some of the other things that you're looking at from a budgeting standpoint and the capacity to utilize it within your practice?
Yeah, I think people aren't necessarily investing in recovery spaces just because they're not as well utilized as we would want them to be. So with Firefly technology, you can treat more athletes. You can treat multiple athletes for longer where they are. The recovery spaces wherever they are within their day, and so you're able to adapt to that and provide them high quality recovery wherever they go.